In 2015, while the entire world held its breath in dread of an apocalyptic nuclear war, a billionaire stepped onto a grand stage and delivered a warning that chilled the blood of anyone who truly listened. He declared that the greatest enemy humanity would soon face was not atomic bombs falling from the sky. The real threat remained invisible, a silent force that would slip through the air, claiming millions of lives without a single shot fired. And then 2020 arrived, ripping apart every established order and turning those words into a brutal living nightmare. Does that sound eerily familiar? But hold on, wait until you hear this. This is what will truly steal your breath. This was no ordinary medical forecast or random coincidence on the surface. It marked the beginning of a far deeper spiritual purification, one your soul deliberately chose to incarnate and witness. Decades before that billionaire uttered his warning, the great prophet Edgar Cayce slipped into deep hypnotic trance and saw this exact scenario unfold. He beheld an invisible cloud enveloping the globe, compelling people to seal themselves away, stripping the masks from systems of power and driving humanity to the edge of absolute terror. Yet the most terrifying and powerful revelation lies here. Cayce did not stop at 2020. He described it as merely the first awakening bell. That unseen chaos served only as a prelude, pushing the world toward a complete breaking point, a fateful life and death crossroads for all humankind. And that moment is not some distant future. It unfolds right now. Everything races toward 2026 at an irreversible speed. The months ahead carry decisive, life-altering weight. Edgar Cayce glimpsed a man with hair of blazing gold stepping into the heart of this storm. A figure positioned at the center of extreme polarization, cleaving the world into two stark halves divided between trust and fury. Does that sound eerily familiar? The rise of this individual, combined with the shattering aftershocks of an invisible pandemic, would ignite the final confrontation between light and shadow. He did not call it evil. He called it necessary. Necessary to tear away every veil of deception. Necessary to force you to choose between ultimate fear or unconditional love, between separation or unity. How could one of the wealthiest men on earth foresee the catastrophe of 2020 with such chilling accuracy? Why do the ancient fragments of Edgar Cayce's visions align with such bone-chilling precision to the political upheavals and disasters flashing across your evening news? Hold your heartbeat steady, because we are about to plunge deeper into the truth hidden behind the curtain. Your mission has only just begun, and your light has never mattered more. Let me ask you this. Why would a man whose entire life revolved around lines of computer code, the founder of a colossal technology empire, and for countless years the richest person on the planet, suddenly pivot toward global health? We speak of someone who once predicted with haunting precision the explosion of worldwide connectivity, and the smartphones now resting in the palm of your hand. A billionaire who quietly poured billions into charitable foundations, helping eradicate polio in many nations and saving millions of lives through tiny drops of vaccine. He was no outsider, shouting wild guesses from the sidelines. He viewed humanity's vulnerabilities through a lens of razor-sharp, cold, and unflinching clarity. Does that sound eerily familiar? Those who reach the pinnacle of worldly power often seem to possess an uncanny ability to peer straight through the current of the future. But wait until you hear this. This is what will truly leave you breathless. In 2015, on the stage of a global gathering, that billionaire painted the precise shape of the shadow that would soon blanket the world. He looked directly into the audience and stated that the next catastrophe would be a respiratory virus. Invisible, untouchable, capable of sweeping away millions in the blink of an eye. He stood there, issuing a desperate warning that humanity was utterly unprepared. And what did the world do? The world applauded, smiled, and promptly forgot. They shoved that warning into a dark corner of the past, sinking back into the luxury of economic schemes and military posturing. Why would a titan of technology become the herald of a devastating medical disaster? And why did the entire human system plug its ears and close its eyes to such an imminent danger? This transcends any surface historical event. It unfolds as a far deeper spiritual challenge. The universe always sends messengers before the storm truly breaks. Just as Edgar Cayce once declared during his profound trances, humanity receives repeated signals to awaken before collapse arrives. The 2015 warning was never solely about a pathogen. It became an urgent call from a higher vibrational frequency, demanding that we examine how we treat one another, our ecosystems, and life itself. Yet we chose indifference. We chose to look away. And the price we paid was the crushing suffocation you have already tasted and still feel vividly in this moment. The months ahead stand as a pivotal threshold. The window of time closes rapidly as we are drawn inexorably into 2026. Do you sense it? The invisible chaos of 2020 that the billionaire foretold served only as the overture. It cleared the stage for the intense emergence of the man with hair of blazing gold. The very figure Cayce foresaw. The one now shaking the foundations of every outdated power structure to their core. His rise, together with the cascading fallout from the pandemic, strips away the final mask of the world. He did not call it evil. He called it necessary. Crisis exists to shatter the false shell of safety. Your soul deliberately chose to stand here, to descend into this precise life and death moment. Your task is not to shrink into the shadows. It is to let your light burn as brightly as possible. Do you believe the mystery of the invisible pandemic ended there? The most terrifying and powerful revelation awaits. The darkest scenario still vibrates beneath our feet, compelling you to make the final choice: drown in fear or rise through love. Accept brutal separation or stand for the unity of all humankind. The curtain of the past is about to rise, and what began decades ago will leave you trembling. Let us turn back the wheel of time just a little. After stepping down from the throne of technology in the year 2000, this billionaire began to witness a brutal truth. He saw the horrifying gap between a world of luxury and the impoverished lands being torn apart by pathogens that humanity completely ignored. And then 2014 arrived. A deadly disease storm swept through distant regions. That was the moment he grasped a terrifying reality. Our world stands utterly exposed, possessing no meaningful defense against the wrath of nature. He plunged into research, joining forces with the world's leading health experts. The earth-shaking speech of 2015 became a desperate cry, his final effort to save humanity from what he had come to understand. He laid out a series of chilling prophecies. First Cayce. He predicted the greatest enemy would not arrive in the form of bombs, but as a respiratory virus spreading with terrifying speed through the air. Second case, he pointed directly to history's unhealed wound, the great pandemic of 1918 that claimed 50 million lives. That massive cycle would inevitably return. Third case, he even presented global pandemic simulation models, sketching with bone-chilling detail how that invisible pathogen would spread and devour life itself. Does that sound eerily familiar? But hold on. Wait until you hear this. This is what will truly steal your breath. In 2020, the shadow took form. An invisible respiratory pathogen collapsed the entire global healthcare system, locking billions in panicked silence. It matched every detail, every breath of that long-ago warning with perfect precision. And now, you witness new variants rising relentlessly, strange diseases lurking and appearing with increasing frequency. Governments now frantically pour money into vaccines and health infrastructure. Yet the colossal gaps and the fragility of human life remain glaringly exposed. This transcends mere coincidence on the surface. It unfolds as a far deeper spiritual purification. Why do all these catastrophes erupt in relentless succession during this very decade? The most terrifying and powerful truth lies here. Edgar Cayce once saw through these invisible disease trimmers. They are not simply biological events. They serve as the universe's hammer blows, shattering the mask of delusion and the arrogance of our species. This systemic fracture and extreme fear form only the prelude, ruthlessly clearing the path toward the greatest breaking point in human history, the year 2026. The months ahead stand as a pivotal threshold. Right now, time counts down relentlessly, and no force can halt it. Do you feel it? The world tears itself into two fiercely opposing halves, and the man with hair of blazing gold continues to step forward. Towering at the center of this global torment, the universe never places any figure by accident. He did not call it evil. He called it necessary. Necessary to expose every rotting shadow, every manipulation that worldly power has concealed in darkness. Your soul displayed supreme courage in choosing to incarnate here, to witness this tragic yet epic chapter of collapse and rebirth. Your task is not to collapse in despair or allow manipulation to deceive you. Your light stands as the only force capable of illuminating this dark era. This invisible war forces you to make the soul's life and death choice. Surrender to ultimate fear or open your heart to embrace love. Continue feeding division or courageously step forward to forge unity. Why do these tragedies descend upon humanity time after time? Look straight into this bitter truth. Modern society has been poisoned by the worship of short-term profit. We drain the life force from Mother Earth, pour sweat and tears into colossal war machines, yet refuse to build any real shield to protect human life. The blindness of the elite, where ruthless political schemes and bottomless economic greed obscure the scientific brink of extinction, holds the blade to our throats. This is no mere weakness in a healthcare system on the surface. It represents a far deeper spiritual decay. The universe roars for change. We are being compelled to step out of darkness, to shed passive dependence and become true architects of global survival. But the most terrifying and powerful revelation awaits. If this cycle of delusion continues, if humanity stubbornly plugs its ears and closes its eyes to the cosmic signals, A new invisible catastrophe lurking in the wings of bats or flocks of wild birds could rise and reduce billions to ash. No system will withstand it. No one will escape. Does that sound eerily familiar? But what if we awaken? What if we learn to wield the brilliant light of our intelligence, revolutionary biotechnologies that safeguard life itself? Vast streams of data that allow us to glimpse tomorrow. We could still seal shut the door to death. And this truth leads us straight back to your own reality, right here in the very breath you draw. In the next invisible storm, you could lose everything. Your daily bread, the loved ones etched deepest into your heart. All of it could vanish if you choose to remain asleep and unprepared. Just as that billionaire once stepped down from his throne of technology to become a torchbearer for the preservation of life, you too hold supreme power to protect yourself and awaken those around you. Your soul displayed extraordinary courage in choosing to incarnate into this tragic yet magnificent era. Your mission is to stand firm amid the tempest, to seek untainted truth, and become a lighthouse for your community. Your light has never burned brighter or carried greater life and death meaning than it does now. But hold on. Wait until you hear this. This is what will truly steal your breath. That earth-shaking warning delivered in 2015 was never solely about a pathogen lurking in the air. It stood as the most brutal and profound philosophical lesson humanity has ever received. It echoed from the past through the voice of the prophet Edgar, Cayce, reminding us of an ultimate truth. We cannot survive if we continue tearing one another apart. Our species must learn to place wisdom and sacred cooperation above walls of division and cold indifference. The rise of the man with hair of blazing gold, towering now at the heart of the world's extreme tension, serves as the fire that consumes every illusion. He did not call it evil. He called it necessary. Necessary to shatter every false order before humanity plunges headlong into the deadly breaking point, the year 2026. The months ahead stand as a pivotal threshold. Everything unfolds right now, directly before your eyes. Life and death dance together on the same fragile thread. The pendulum of the universe swings and demands your answer. Will you lock yourself inside the darkness of separation, trembling in ultimate fear? Or will you rise, choose sacred unity, and claim the unmatched power of love? Will we truly awaken from the blood-stained warnings of the past? Or will the next catastrophe bury humanity beneath tears of belated regret?